Many people today live with long-term fatigue, poor sleep, anxiety, pain, or chronic inflammation, even though no clear disease can be found. In Western medicine, these symptoms are often explained as chronic stress. In Chinese medicine, they are described very differently. In this video, I want to explain why the kidneys are central in chronic stress, and how Western medicine and Chinese medicine, using very different languages, are actually describing the same regulatory system in the body. This is not about blaming stress, and is not about simplifying complex conditions. It's about understanding how the body adapts and why long-term tension can quietly affect our health over time. When we talk about chronic stress, we're not talking about emotions alone. We're talking about how the body stays in a state of long-term adaptation. From a Western medical perspective, chronic stress means the nervous system remains in a constant state of alert. The body repeatedly activates the fight or flight response, even when there's no immediate physical danger. Over time, this changes how stress hormones are regulated, particularly adrenaline and cortisol. These hormones are essential for short-term survival, but they were never designed to remain elevated for months or years. When this system stays switched on, the body begins to prioritize survival over repair. Sleep becomes lighter, inflammation becomes harder to control, and the recovery slows down. From a Chinese medicine perspective, these same patterns were observed long before modern physiology existed. Rather than focusing on individual hormones, Chinese medicine described this as a weakening of the kidney system, the system responsible for long-term resilience, recovery, and regulation. It's important to understand that when Chinese medicine talks about the kidneys, it is not referring only to the anatomical organs. It is describing a broader regulatory system that governs stress adaptation, hormonal balance, and the body's ability to return to equilibrium. This is why chronic stress doesn't just affect the mind. It gradually influences sleep, pain, inflammation, fertility, and immunity, often in subtle ways, long before clear disease appears. When we place these two perspectives side by side, we're not comparing different theories. We're looking at the same biological process through two different medical languages. When this regulatory system is under long-term strain, the effects don't appear all at once. They show up gradually and often in places that seem unrelated. One common pattern is what we call low-grade or sterile inflammation without a clear infection. This can affect the skin, the gut, the joints, and very commonly the pelvic and the urinary systems. Many people experience symptoms such as recurrent urinary discomfort with no bacteria found, chronic pelvic pain, painful periods, or inflammatory conditions like endometriosis or PCOS. These conditions are not caused by stress alone, but long-term stress can disrupt the body's ability to regulate the inflammation and hormones effectively, making these patterns much more likely to persist. From a Western medical perspective, this is closely linked to dysregulation of stress hormones and the immune response. When cortisol regulation becomes unstable, the body may struggle to switch inflammation off properly. From a Chinese medicine perspective, these same patterns have long been associated with imbalance of the kidney system, often combined with liver and hormonal regulation disturbances. Again, this is not about a single organ, but about a network responsible for long-term balance and recovery. This is why chronic stress can present as menstrual problems in one person, digestive symptoms in another, and skin or pain conditions in someone else. The underlying issue is not the symptom itself, but the body's reduced capacity to return to equilibrium. Understanding this helps us move away from the idea that these symptoms are random or all in the mind. They are meaningful signals from a system that has been under pressure for too long. Once we understand chronic stress as a long-term regulatory problem, the approach to treatment also changes. The goal is not to fight symptoms aggressively, and it is not to force the body into quick correction. The goal is to help the body gradually exit survival mode and restore its ability to regulate itself. From a Western medical perspective, this means supporting the nervous system, improving sleep quality, and allowing stress hormone regulation to stabilize over time. From a Chinese medicine perspective, treatment focuses on supporting the kidney system, not just to increase energy, but to rebuild long-term resilience and recovery capacity. This is why treatment often involves calming the nervous system, supporting circulation, and gently improving the body's ability to control inflammation and hormonal balance. It's also important to understand why recovery usually takes time. Many chronic stress-related conditions develop slowly over months or years. The body adapts to survive, but those adaptations don't reverse overnight. Early signs of improvement are often subtle. Better sleep, slightly less pain, more stable energy, or fewer inflammatory flare-ups. These are meaningful signals that the regulatory system is beginning to reset. Recovery is not a straight line. There may be fluctuations along the way. What matters is the overall direction toward greater balance, stability, and resilience. Chronic stress does not mean that your body is broken, and it does not mean that your symptoms are imaginary. It means that your body has been adapting quietly and continuously to pressure over a long period of time. And like any adaptive system, it needs time and support to return to balance. When we understand this process, we stop blaming individual symptoms and we stop blaming ourselves. Instead, we begin to work with the body rather than against it. This is where Western medicine and Chinese medicine can complement each other. One explaining mechanisms, the other guiding long-term regulation. My hope is that this explanation helps you make sense of what you are experiencing and reassures you that recovery is possible, even if it happens gradually. In future videos, I'll continue to explore how this understanding applies to inflammation, pain, women's health, and other chronic conditions. Thank you for watching.